Hey everyone, my name's Matt,
I'm Bedham.
And I'm Corey.
and this is the Heavy Metal Melee podcast. All right, Ben, give us a recap of last week's episode.
Okay, so we rode the Lightning again. 3 wins in a row now for Ride the Lightning. The latest victory coming over Dream Theater's Images and Words by two
R.I.P.
votes to one again. Yeah, so it's been 2-1 every time so far. So no clean sweeps yet.
Yeah,
Um,
all split decisions.
yeah, but we need a new challenger, so we're gonna call on the priest, Judas Priest. We're gonna do Screaming for Vengeance. Probably their most successful album, I would say.
It's up there.
Um, yeah,
I know it is. It is in the U.S., right? But maybe British Steel is more popular in the U.K. is what I read.
yeah. I think this is the album that broke them in America, which is obviously all that matters. So, you know.
True.
that's it.
Yeah. But they did have some success with British Steel, yeah. But I mean, what can you say about GDP? Like, where do they where do they rank amongst the all-time greats?
They're up
They're up
there.
there,
Yeah.
definitely. It's it's one of those things like can you tell the history of metal without mentioning them? Probably not.
No, you can't.
So that shows how much of influence that they've had in the metal world,
Yeah.
or just music in general.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
True. For me, like I think they're probably number three after Metallica and Iron Maiden. Like they're so high up on my
that's some
list.
high
Yeah,
praise right there.
definitely. I
So
mean,
that's really good.
I
they
mean,
have a
maybe not personally, but like in the world of metal, like they're like the
in, ter-
third name that comes to mind after
in
those two.
terms of like influence and just sheer like longevity, right? They have to be up there with
They've been
those
doing it for a
names,
long
right?
ass time.
Yeah,
And they kind of have a weird place as well because they kind of came just after like the hard rock bands like Maiden, not Maiden, like Sabbath and Deep
ACDC
Purple,
and stuff.
Zeppelin.
AC/DC, Zeppelin, but they came before the Maidens and the Saxons and the new
Right.
wave of British metal.
But their
And
early stuff, I mean, it sounded very much in the vein of like Zeppelin. Like it was much more
oh
hard
yeah,
rock.
yeah. I mean that's the thing about Judas Priest, isn't it? They went through so many different like phases. Like the stuff that this album we're doing now is when they were trying to be more commercial, I would say. I don't know what was driving that, but they definitely were trying to make,
Probably
and they
money.
did it before with yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't hold anything against them, but their sound in the 70s was way more like you say, progressive style heavy
Mhm.
rock. But they like their influence can be seen on a lot of different genres, definitely. Like what they brought to metal. I mean, well, let's be honest, they're the reason why a lot of metalheads look like they just came out of a fetish nightclub
Mhm.
because they bought the leather.
Yeah.
Let's let's make that clear, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I'm all for leather, but
Yeah.
that was definitely repping it. That was definitely Judas Priest. And musically, the twin guitar thing, to having two leads. Other
Yeah,
bands
that
have done
was
that.
that was somewhat unusual because most of the other hard rock bands of the time had one guitarist.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a few who had to, but like they did it in such a way that it just seemed more metal. That's the only way I could describe it,
Yeah.
really. Yeah. But I feel like in like the last 2 decades, they sort of fell off compared to Maiden. Like in the 80s, they were neck and neck with Maiden in terms of like, popularity, even probably bigger than Maiden. Definitely, and this album came out.
Mm.
But I don't know, like it just seems like, just from my perspective anyway, in Europe, Maiden, I feel like Maiden would just like marketing geniuses. They just like managed to like, I don't know, like everyone's got a Maiden shirt. Eddie is fucking everywhere. They
It's the
did these like
mascot.
Yeah,
It's
I think
smart.
yeah
it could be the mascot thing. Like
yeah
it's pretty big. When you
I
have
mean
something that's very familiar, and you're like, "Oh, that's from Iron
yeah
Maiden." Like Judas Priest didn't really have that, I don't think, right?
yeah. Just when you think of metal, the first thing you think of is Maiden for a lot of people, right?
I
That's the
think
first name.
that's it's arguable.
It's up there
Maybe
though.
yeah,
Yeah.
Maiden's up there, but
I
like
mean, Maiden would be one that you would think of before Priest, that's for sure.
It depends on who you are. I know some people who prefer Priest. I'll be
No,
honest.
I'm not
It's not
saying
about
prefer.
prefer. It's like what do you
Mainstream,
think of?
mainstream, right? If you say to someone Iron Maiden,
Like Metallica would probably be number one.
Yeah, Metallica.
I mean, with Metallica out
Yeah,
there,
yeah. In America, at least, Metallica would be number one. But I feel like Judas Priest is mentioned as much here as Maiden, at least in the people I hang out with, I guess.
yeah. I mean, that's what I say. But in like metalhead circles, sure. But in terms of mainstream, I don't know.
I
I
don't
feel
think
like
Maiden's that mainstream. I wouldn't say.
nah, I
Not
mean,
Metallica
yeah,
level.
yeah. No one knows who either of these fucking bands are really.
Except metalheads.
They're like the 2 second biggest metal bands, but no one knows them in real. But no, like when Maiden play, at least in Europe, they sell out stadiums, they play arena tours, headline festivals. Judas Priest are now just a step below in a lot of places,
Wow.
especially in the UK. Like, so there's no comparison in terms of those
Maybe
kind of things.
maybe Maiden just has better longevity, I guess. Like
Yeah,
they just I don't know.
I
I
think they
mean, you
just
can't
know.
say this
Because
long.
I've seen plenty of big like metal events where like Priest is headlining.
Yeah, they still headline metal festivals, especially, but I just feel like I don't know. I think Maiden worldwide, especially if you go to like South America and Asia, Maiden really did a good job of marketing themselves
Yeah.
to those places. Like they flew out there, they do shows there. They did that DVD, Flight 666, and then they always got. I don't know. They just seemed like really good at marketing themselves, whereas Judas Priest didn't really do that. But
No, I don't know.
yeah.
I've always seen them as kind of like neck and neck personally. So
Mm.
Not me.
I
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like Priest is better at writing hooky songs. Like
Priests are definitely more commercially viable in the way they write their songs. Like,
they're easy to digest.
yeah, I mean, look at like I don't know, Breaking the Law and You've Got Another Thing Coming. Those songs could play on radios. People wouldn't even be like, "What the fuck is this?"
yeah.
Whereas any Maiden song would turn some people off, I think. Any Maiden
Definitely.
song. But yeah. I mean, for me, Judas Priest are legendary. Obviously, they were definitely one of those bands when I was getting into metal, when I was like 15, 16. Judas Priest, I definitely had a phase. I don't remember exactly where it fits in my timeline because, I mean, let's be honest, we are the internet generation. We were just
yeah.
absorbing music.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were just.
Like-
I mean, for me, anyways, I was just like downloading whatever shit came to mind. Anything anyone else recommended me, I'll just download it. Might listen and like immediately delete it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's great.
but I feel like Priest was possibly the first metal band I got into. I just can't remember very clearly.
I
But-
remember you talking about Priest a lot before I was into metal. I think you must have got into metal before me because I remember you.
I think I
talking about
did.
Judas Priest. Yeah,
And I felt like I got into metal late because I think Corey was into metal before me.
Yeah, I was into it
yeah.
like I don't know, early high school years. So
Yeah.
I was
Because I remember he would always talk about it with like, well, our friend Maddie. She would talk about it and some other people in the group we hung out with.
Mm.
Yeah, you were at that time. You were into like the Beatles.
Yeah. I went through
really
a
into,
big
like,
classic
classic
rock
stuff.
classic
Classic rock.
phase. Like
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Deep Purple for a little bit.
Yeah.
And see, like you didn't realize how close you are to be like.
I know I was slowly
metalhead,
moving in that
baby.
direction.
I'm a metalhead all of a sudden. Like
Yeah.
you just get a
Yeah.
big huge mohawk.
But yeah, I do remember you talking about Judas Priest, but I wasn't really paying attention. And then I started getting into metal through my older brother, Metallica, Nirvana, they're not metal, but that kind of sound. And then I got into Megadeth, and then Judas Priest at some point. I can't remember exactly when it happened, but I definitely had a phase where I was just all about Judas Priest. Like,
Mhm.
Would
They
you
had-
say? Would you say that Judas Priest is a really good like introduction band into metal? Like if you're a hard rock fan,
Absolutely.
yeah,
and it's really
Possibly
good to
the
kinda, like,
best.
It's like a bridge because I mean, in this album that we're about to cover, like you hear a lot of that concept in some of the
definitely.
songs.
they're so radio friendly when they want to be with some of their songs. But the good thing about Priest is they have an edge to them as well, and they can do proper like speed metal. I mean, their influence on the speed metal genre is just clear to see.
Mhm.
Like
yeah.
especially in the 70s. Some of the stuff they were doing in the 70s at that time. That's the other thing about Priest is you got to put it in the context. They came like 10 years before a lot of the, thrash bands
Definitely.
especially.
Hmm.
So they were massively influenced by what Priest were doing. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's like, do we take for granted what Priest did? Like, is that sound now you hear it and you're like, yeah, it's metal, whatever. But when you think about being back in the 70s, maybe it would have been like fucking mind blowing.
Especially
Oh, sure,
considering the
yeah.
music that was going on during that time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty mind blowing for me, and I grew up in the 90s and 2000s. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, we talked about it on the last episodes, didn't we, really? That, like, these bands were the ones that we were listening to when we were teenagers.
yeah,
At that time, we should have been listening to fucking Linkin Park and Korn and,
right.
that's
Which
what was
I
going
mean,
on.
Favorite.
I feel like we listened to some of those bands, but
Yeah, we did. I mean, it was impossible to avoid them, right? They were everywhere, but yeah. But I mean, the thing about Priest is as well, what I've noticed talking to other people who like Priest, they have so many different albums and different styles and different, like, if we all made a top 10 of our favorite Judas Priest songs, I reckon we could easily have a completely different top 10.
oh no way!
I don't know.
I don't believe
know
it.
about that. I have a
don't know.
feeling that I have a feeling that my power ranking that's coming up is going to be a lot more similar to y'all's than
I
you
think
would
it's going to be
Yeah.
very similar too.
Maybe on this specific album, but I'm saying in terms of their whole discography, they went through like different phases. Like some people love the Painkiller album.
That's
people love this
true.
album.
Yeah, I don't like Painkiller as much, so
See, I think if you talk to another Priest fan, they could easily have most of Painkiller as their top songs. This album, obviously, I think most people would agree this is a great album. And then their 70s stuff was a lot more, like I said, proggy, heavy, longer songs, more like things going on. But I don't know. I think Priest have got more range than a lot of the bands we've heard so far. On this.
range definitely.
Yeah.
well, what do you mean by range?
They can do different types of songs.
Music.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I would disagree on Dream Theater, but for the rest,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, but well, Dream Theater can't do radio-friendly songs.
Unless you cut half of it out.
Yeah. That okay.
Yeah.
Fair, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously talk more about them, about like Halford, and his singing is so good. Like he's such a great
Almost
singer.
comparable to Dave Mustaine.
He'll
Yeah,
get there one day.
just below Dave. But yeah,
He's a great singer, but sometimes he does get into a range that's piercing and kind of annoying.
Mm.
Like he's just going so unbelievably high that it's just like, oh, okay.
yeah. I don't know.
Like that was a
He's in the
choice he
recording booth,
made.
He's like, let's see how much this can handle. Because he
Yeah.
knows he has the voice to do it. Like he can
Yeah, he goes there.
bust some eardrums if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also he can tone it down. He can do other things. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree, and I feel like that's almost where he's at his best. I like his kind of like mid-range singing.
Yeah. Yeah, and he can do like he can do like ballads and like crooner shit. He's got a lot of different ways of singing. But I mean, so they got like not accused, but they seem to like follow the trends a bit. Like they changed their style with how music was going, because like in the 70s they were doing a lot more bluesy, like hard rock stuff.
Mhm.
Then they went into this kind of like glam metal. They got into that with I think Turbo especially. And then they went even heavier with Painkiller. They were like trying to catch up with the thrash kids at that point.
Yeah.
But like they get compared to like they were the main inspiration for Spinal Tap. Like they weren't ashamed.
I've heard so many bands, like people claiming different bands were the inspiration for Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I think
Definitely-
these guys though.
Maybe. I mean, Black Sabbath also, especially with the Stonehenge thing.
Yeah, well,
That was Black Sabbath.
Yeah. I think the Priest one was more like the fact that they just, they changed their style. Like when you look at their music videos from the 70s, they look like a hippie band. And then they went hardcore into this leather thing. And then they just changed their musical style to kind of...
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
they're not as shameless as Spinal Tap, but you know what I mean. They were definitely that kind of band.
But back then that was most bands because of the fact that like we take it for granted now. Like bands can pretty much do whatever they want because they have the fan base that they can like directly connect to.
Yeah.
And like with Kickstarter and all that, like yeah, you get a bit more leeway. But back then, if like you weren't with the trends, then you didn't get a record deal.
You're
like you were
out,
done. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we were saying before, like a lot of these classic metal bands made new metal albums because that's the only way they could keep up with, what people
Yeah,
wanted
no
to hear at
one
that
no
point.
one would have wanted to like produce their albums because it wasn't what was popular at the time. And luckily that's not the case anymore. Like now you can pretty much do whatever the fuck you want and it's great. I love like like the fact that the record industry like pretty much crashing and burning kind of sucked in a lot of ways, but in other ways it's kind of great.
Yeah, I think back then too, like it was much more of a roll of the dice to just sign someone and be like, "Oh, please let these albums be good." And so now it's like you got a lot more flexibility to be able to like make one fuck up.
Right. I think it was a whole lot more expensive to make it back then too.
Mm-hmm.
Like
so like now you can be like, "Oh, you know what? If that record bombs, it's okay. We got another band that's gonna make us millions anyways."
Right. Well, nowadays you can just, I mean, people can make hit records in their bedrooms. Like that technology is everywhere.
Big time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
much more easily accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, we'll get into it later, but this album for Priest was a massive leap in production compared to their previous albums.
Mhm.
Like if you listen to the one before this, even just like night and day. Like this album just sounds so good.
What was the one before this?
British Steel.
Oh, British Steel was right before
Oh
this?
no, it was Point of Entry.
Yeah.
So they did like 8 albums in like 8 years. They were just a fucking machine. They were just going through them.
Yeah, that's so weird to think that's another thing that happens now is that it takes like 4 years for a band to really come out with a new album, while before it was like every 2 years, like you pump out a new
I mean, I think part of it is bands can afford to be perfectionists now. When back then it was kind of like you just need to get this album out.
Yeah, if you signed a contract with a record company.
Yeah, you have to.
It's like,
so I think there was a lot more pressure put on them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, bands back then, I feel like, well, the records are clearly not as refined as records released today. Because records today, you can get everything perfect. Like, and if you can't play it perfectly, you can nudge it digitally to make it perfect. Back then, you just had to be really good and really quick.
Yeah. Well, Judas Priest were, so well done to them.
Yeah. No, it's amazing to think about like those bands were able to like create such relatively like clean recordings without the modern technology we have today. It's amazing.
But hey, shout out to Priest for their longevity because they released an album a few years ago and it's great. Like,
yeah, I heard Firepower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to it. It was really good.
It's great. It's a good album. So I don't know if you guys know this, but this is actually the most evil band that we've covered so far.
Oh my!
Maybe ever. Maybe
should we put like a warning at the front of the podcast?
Yeah. Well, so they got sent to court because one of their albums encouraged their listeners to kill themselves.
Oh shit!
And there was one really infamous case where 2 kids, they just put on they put on "You've Got Another Thing Coming," and they were like,
"What?"
Right.
I gotta shoot
they ended up not having another thing coming.
No, it was on the Stained Class album, and they got sent to court. And there's a great clip, you can find it on YouTube, where Halford is like sitting in a courtroom, and the lawyer asks him to like sing the lyrics to his song, and he's like singing "Better by You, Better by Me."
Well, was he actually singing it like full on?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
that's
said,
amazing.
"Can you sing it?" Because he like questioned.
So he didn't just like say the lyrics. He was just like
he sang it.
They
in the courtroom.
They asked him to sing it, and then they like were questioning his vocal style. They would say like that exhaustion of breath at the end of the word. What does that signify? And he's just like, oh, it's just the emotion of the song, isn't it? Like, you know, he's just like,
I was just out of breath. I mean, what?
It's like, that's just how I sing. Like, when it says, but are there subliminal messages that tell the listener to kill themselves? Because apparently, if you play it backwards or something, it sounds like they're saying, do it, do it, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
And he was like, no, that's not true.
That's not true.
But it's so funny to just see it in such a, like, you know, high profile situation. And he's just like, anyway, that obviously got thrown out. And is that still a thing where people think metal is like, you know, devil music? And
Yeah, of course. Obviously.
It is still a thing, but not as much, because I feel like
mainstream. But
well, people like grew up with that like around them, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually, like when it was new, I'm sure it was a lot scarier. It seems silly to us now, but like when metal was still like in its infancy, like it was this scary new like thing that seemed really dark. But now it's been around so long that people were just kind of like numb to it, I think.
I think it was the same thing as like what rap had to go through during its time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But like, I mean, like compared to Priest, like, you know, when you see these black metal bands and they're like burning churches down and shit, it's like that's way more extreme, but no one cares anymore. Like,
right.
Really. I mean, some bands get. I know there are some like bands who get banned from going to America and touring in some of the Bible states. You know.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's still.
I do remember there was one band that didn't get to go to Prague Power. They were called Astral Doors, and I think there was something to do about like either they were satanic or antichrist, and the person who was organizing Prague Power didn't want them on the lineup.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Judas Priest were obviously none of those things, so I don't. It was a weird band to target of all the bands. Like most of their lyrics are just like, you know, partying and having a good time or whatever.
Yeah, well, a lot of sex lyrics. Like I feel like more so than a lot of metal bands, like they were just like sex, sex, sex every single song.
I can only imagine why.
and like I guess people didn't realize, or not many people realized back then, like that Rob Halford was gay. But it's so funny thinking now, like they were just like thinking of all these
like,
sexy lyrics.
The man was just repressed and he needed a vent. He just really wanted to talk about sex.
He literally looks like a cartoon stereotype of the gay man, the way he dresses. Like,
well, it's probably because those cartoons were making him the characters, so that's why he looks like it.
You know, Mr. Slave in South Park. He dresses like him basically on stage. But what's hilarious is, you know, like metal is like really like macho and, you know, oh, that's fucking gay and all this kind of shit. But like everyone was dressing like that because they saw Judas Priest and Rob Halford and they were like, oh yeah, that's fucking cool, man. I'm gonna wear leather and stuff. He made a whole like made all these metalheads dress like they just come out of a gay nightclub. It's pretty funny.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that was obviously. I mean, obviously they had the music to back it up, but that is part of their influence on metal, no question about it. Like the look, like that is a lot what they brought to it. All right, so before we get into it, let's do our regular feature of what Dave Mustaine has to say about Judas Priest.
I really want to know.
I'm really excited about that, actually.
To be honest, I couldn't find a lot. So he lists Sad Wings of Destiny, which is Judas Priest's second album, as one of his top 10. So
is it because it has sad in the title?
Maybe. Yeah. So he really rates that album, so that's good. So they got that seal of approval there. And the only other thing is there was this story that came out last year. Was the lead singer of Testament was on a podcast, and he told this story about when they were doing a tour. So it was back in the 80s when Priest were at their height. It was Priest, Megadeth, and Testament were the three bands playing. And the Testament were really new at that time, so this was like their big.
It's a great lineup right there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, come on. But like back then, Testament were kind of unknown, and they were just like making their name, and so they wanted to make a big impression on this tour. So they bought like loads of like awesome gear and stuff to like really, you know, blow the crowd away. Dave Mustaine apparently saw this equipment they had bought, and he was like, "No, you can't use that." test.
What was his reasoning?
Well, I guess he just thought they would sound too good. I don't know. But anyway, so the Testament guys were like, "Well, what do you mean we can't use it?" Like, yeah, no, you can't use that.
Well, what do you mean I can't use it?
so apparently they didn't use it for the first few shows, and they were like, "Ah, this fucking sucks. We bought all this awesome gear. We want to use it." So the other people in Testament were like, "Hey, to the singer, his name's Chuck Billy," and they were saying like, "Hey, you go talk to Rob Halford. You guys seem to be getting on. Sort it all out." So he went to Rob Halford and he said like, "Oh yeah, we got all this gear that we want to use," and Dave Mustaine said we can't use it. He said that Judas Priest said that we can't use it.
Oh my god, that's like fucking like schoolyard antics right here.
And so Rob Halford was like, "No, that's bullshit," and he got the tour manager to sort it all out, and he was like, "Yeah, let them use their gear, whatever." So then the next show they did use the new gear, and they said Dave Mustaine was just at the side of the stage, looking pissed off.
But do we know if he was pissed off because of that, or if he was just being Dave Mustaine?
Just maybe, yeah. Hey, but you know what? There's two sides to every story. That's just Chuck Billy's side of the story, so we don't know for sure. But...
And in between songs, they're like, "Does he always look like that?"
Yeah.
I mean, I was just reading a story today where, like, I think a guitarist in Epica was recounting the fact that Dave Mustaine, like, he was going through a food line at like a festival, and you needed like a ticket or something, and he didn't have one. Like, he just thought he didn't need it. And he would just claim that, like, "I'm Dave Mustaine. I deserve this food."
What do you
And
mean?
the person serving was just like, "Well, you still need a ticket."
What do you mean I need a meal ticket?
The person serving was probably like, "Who the fuck is Dave Mustaine?" Like,
he said he was the face of Megadeth. Those were
right,
his words.
yeah. Well, that's true. I suppose he is the face of Megadeth. But anyway, that was a very strenuous link to Judas Priest, but
But we still needed to talk about Dave Mustaine.
Of course, yeah.
It's a running gag at this point.
yeah, there you go. So, All right. Well, when we get back, we're going to talk about Screaming for Vengeance.
And we're back.
Wow. It's very calm.
Very
And
comforting.
We're back. And we're back.
It's now an ASMR podcast.
Really capturing the
And now we're back.
capturing the vibe of Screaming for Vengeance. Definitely.
All right, so
Whispering for vengeance.
Yes.
subtly speaking for vengeance.
So, Screaming for Vengeance. Come on, let's do this. All right. Released July 17th, 1982. The earliest album we've done,
Yes.
actually. Came out, what were the other bands doing around this time? Fuck all, really. Maiden were doing all right when they had started at this point.
They would have been. God, had Bruce joined the band at that point?
I don't think so.
I think so. I think Number of the Beast was like 1980, maybe. It was pretty early. Earlier than you think.
Really?
Well, I mean, think about it.
Let's look it up. Because I feel like Number of the Beast was like 82, maybe.
Well, Power Slave came out in 86. So they'd already done a few albums before then.
They only did Peace of Mind before.
No, they had Number of the Beast.
Number of the Beast came out in 82 then.
And they had the
It
two
came out in
albums.
82.
They had the two albums without Dickinson as well.
It is 82? Yeah.
Yep.
March
And then
82.
Killers was before that, and then their Iron Maiden album
Yeah.
was before that.
And Metallica hadn't released an album, but I think they'd probably started playing at that point.
Kill 'Em All came out in 83.
Sounds right.
83. Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I think so.
Dream Theater was still in high school, I guess. So, yeah. But this is their seventh studio album already in 82. So it just goes, it really shows you how, like,
Oh, yeah, they were forerunners to the whole movement.
these guys were in, yeah. And this album, like I said before, it's just, the production, okay, I'm still learning about, like, what's good mixing and production and stuff, but this album sounds good to me.
This is, I mean, for the time, yeah, this is a pretty damn good sounding album.
Yeah.
For now, though, crap.
What's crap?
I said for now, though, crap.
No, I mean, it's definitely dated. Like, it definitely sounds like it's from 1982, but everything's clear, and it sounds pretty good.
Would this have cost a lot of money when they,
A fair amount of money, yeah, I'd say so.
I guess they were big enough to do that.
Yeah.
This
Well,
album was a
British Steel was really popular. So
Yeah, that was huge, especially in England. I think it was. I mean, it had Breaking the Law, which is their biggest song, I would say. So,
yeah, this album does sound way better than that one.
yeah. I will say though, like they definitely made a conscious effort to make this like a radio-friendly album because like there's only no songs are over 5 minutes long.
Right.
There's two that are like 5 minutes.
But
and everything
isn't
else-
that kind of just what? Well, at least back then, like that's kind of what they did. That was their sound. I don't think this is any more radio friendly than British Steel.
British Steel, yeah, yeah. British Steel is for the point. Like, if you listen to some of their early albums, they had like epics. Like they had "Sad Wings of Destiny," which is a great song. "Beyond the Realms of Death," which is one of my favorite Priest songs, and that was like 7-8 minutes long. So they definitely could do that. But on this album, they just were trimming it down 5 minutes. So they apparently at this point in their careers, they were big time partiers. Like, they were living the good life at this point.
Of course. Makes sense.
Especially after British Steel, I would imagine. So they recorded this in Ibiza, which is a big party island in Spain. So
that is the fucking dream right there.
I know, right? Imagine if it was like, all right, we're gonna go and record.
I mean, granted, I'm surprised they were able to make the album.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's like, well, it took them 5 months to do it, so they enjoyed themselves. And you can tell because a lot of the songs on this album are really like the party life. You can feel the, how great life they were having at this point. Yeah, there were some stories about like they just was completely like living the rock star life at this point, like crashing cars and having parties and just going fucking mad. Like, why not? Why not? So the cover is pretty cool, I guess. It's this weird robot chicken thing. I don't know why. I don't really get.
So it's supposed to be like a hawk.
Yeah, it's hawkish.
But like the next album they do has like this weird tiger thing. I don't know if you remember it, Defenders of the Faith. So I don't know if they were gonna go trying to make like a fucking Power Rangers thing or something. But,
they do have a lot of weird mechanical shit on their covers, right? Doesn't Painkiller have like a motorcycle or something?
Yeah, it's like a guy, a steel man riding a. They should have made this their mascot though. If they wanted to, like we say with Eddie, like this bird is pretty cool. Like,
no, that's a dumb mascot.
Nah,
come on. No, the album itself is badass, but it's not mascot worthy. There's nothing,
no one's gonna remember
nothing
that.
unique about it. Like Eddie and Vic Skull, Rattlehead, like they all have like
on the latest album,
personality.
Firepower has pretty much the same album cover as this. If you look at the album cover of Firepower, it's pretty much the same fucking thing.
It is similar.
Yeah. Well, whatever. So the lineup on this album, obviously you got Halford on vocals, Tipton and Downing on guitars, Ian Hill on bass, and Dave Holland on the drums.
Pretty classic lineup.
Yeah, this is like the first golden age of Priest, I would say. I mean, they switched drummers on pretty much every album.
Well, apparently this drummer, Dave Holland, right? That's what you said. This is his third album with Priest.
Yeah,
and they had never had a drummer for more than 2 albums.
Exactly, he was the one that kind of stuck. Ian Hill and Ian Hill's been there the whole time. Like he's still doing it. And then obviously Tipton and Downing are the main men on the guitars, and they were there pretty much for the whole time. And KK Downing left in 2010, I think.
Yeah, Tipton left too, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he got dementia or something, Parkinson's maybe. Or something.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah,
kind of had to retire himself out of it.
I mean, they're getting old now, all these bands. Like, man, we're gonna live to see all the greats die.
It sucks. It sucks to think of that.
I mean, because like metal is such a new thing. Like it started in the 70s, so like, all these go.
I mean, it seems so far away, but it really wasn't.
No, exactly. I mean,
the fact that it stuck around after like however many different kind of like song variations came out. You had, disco. No one really listens to that anymore. You got bubblegum pop that came out in the 90s. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Well, metal's never going to go away. It's counterculture. There's always going to be people who want to listen to metal.
Yeah. Same with like punk.
Yeah.
It's always going to be an interest.
Yeah. Well, Halford, he obviously left for a while. He left for quite a long time, actually.
How long did he leave?
Like 12 years or something.
Oh damn, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah,
it's like that's like 12 Priest albums.
Yeah, exactly. And they obviously brought in Tim the Ripper, as any good band does when they lose their main
Right.
singer.
Poor Tim the Ripper.
Yeah, he actually sounds pretty. He's
good.
pretty
He's good.
Pretty
That's
good.
the thing. Like if you're asking for someone to be like, oh yeah, I want to make a Judas Priest cover band, he's the first guy that you ask. Like he's the closest thing to Rob Halford.
I think that's why they got him in, because he was in a Judas Priest cover band, and it's
Yeah.
like he can do it definitely. It's just at that time they made their worst album, you know, like Demolition.
And that just like
trash.
stuck with him. It's like, oh, it's that guy. He was
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's funny like watching the parallels between them and like Iron Maiden, right? Because it was around the same period that they both left, right? 90s.
him and
Yeah,
Bruce Dickinson.
they had the same pretty much thing, didn't they? They both lost Dickinson and Halford, and they both made their worst albums around, you know, late 90s, early 2000s.
That's rough.
But they've all made a comeback a bit. I mean, I think Priest's latest albums have been pretty good, to be honest. They have this new
I
guy,
was really into that Nostradamus album. I know it's not super popular, but I actually liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I listened to that actually. It's like nearly 2 hours long, and it's kind of like repetitive.
Jesus.
There is it is probably a bit long, but
Yeah.
there's some good
Bit
stuff.
long.
They still defend that. Halford's like, that's a good album, guys. It's like, if it wasn't called a Judas Priest album, people would love that. Maybe
It was very progressive, which is up my alley.
Yeah. Okay, so all the tracks are written by Tipton, Downing, and Halford. I think Halford does the vocals and maybe the vocal melodies as well. But Tipton and Downing are the main guys.
Except one, right?
Yeah, they've got one song that was written by someone else.
We'll get to it,
that.
but yeah.
Yeah, we will. Okay, so it's a pretty short album, like I said. Most of the songs are like 5 minutes long, 38 minutes in total. And we're going to combine the first two. You have to combine the first two. So we open with the Hellion stroke Electric Guy. Yeah, I mean, these obviously are both on my playlist for Priest, and sometimes I forget and I put it on shuffle, and so the Hellion plays. And then another song starts.
You get all hyped up. You're like, oh shit, here it goes, and something else.
It's a serious case of blue balls, like because it just leads into it so perfectly. Man, I mean, this is my number one.
This is my
That's
number
my
one.
number one too. I think it's
This is
number
the
one.
best Judas Priest song in my
It's probably
opinion.
the best Judas Priest song. Yeah,
It's
I would
so
probably.
good.
It's
I mean,
hard to. It's
This-
so hype. It's so hype. It just that lead into the beginning, and then that just rugged ass riff at the very start. Oh,
It's
just
a
makes you
good
feel like you
fucking
got
riff.
hair coming out of your fucking
Yeah,
chest.
This is a great opening. Like you can tell, like this is such a good song to open a live show with.
Oh god, it's the
so
ultimate
fucking
opener
hype.
for anything.
Like it hits you in the face straight away, doesn't it? And it's like they've got that. I mean, the sound of the guitars in this album is great. They sound so fucking metal. Like, I mean, come on. And
It's so heavy. It's just like
Yeah.
literally the definition of heavy.
Yeah, and it's such a cool melody, and it's got all the things you love about Priest, the harmony on the guitars and everything. And then it leads perfectly into the Electric Eye opening riff, which is fucking brutal.
I think it's one of the more iconic Priest like starts or riffs of just ever.
Those guitar harmonics, it's beautiful.
Every time I hear it though, strangely enough, it makes me think of the Power Rangers, which is funny that you should mention it because
It definitely,
just has, like,
it has that vibe.
it just has because you can tell like Power Rangers obviously took from this
Oh,
to
yeah,
make
definitely.
its theme.
I mean,
But the Power Rangers theme is fucking epic. That's a good
It
fucking
is,
theme
and that's
song.
what this is, and this is so epic. It just makes you just have that feeling of just like, oh shit, things about to
mean,
go down.
cartoons in general, especially animes, have great metal openings. Like before I got into metal, my favorite song was probably the Pokemon theme tune. that could be a power metal song. Like,
Someone did a cover of that. It was Power Glove.
Yeah.
They did a cover with the Sonata Arctica singer.
exactly, it could be a power metal song easily.
It's so good.
Anyway, fucking hell, this song is great. The riff at the intro, obviously. I love, you know what Priest do really well is like the pinch harmonics, like when they just really squeal the guitars. Awesome. It's so good. So good. They always add these little bits into their riffs, which I really
flows
really
in
like.
so well too. It's like such a smooth like
This
add in.
this song has so many riffs, and it's just constantly changing them. And sometimes you don't even really notice because they're going on under the vocals, but it keeps the song interesting the entire way through because they're like every few bars is changing to a new riff.
Yeah,
really cool.
Exactly. Yeah, the vocals are good on this one as well. Halford's like he always like he doesn't just sing; he tries to like play a role or a character, and like he just captures that kind of like big brother, government thing. Just this is actually quite a political song for them. Actually, they don't do
very much so.
like this.
Huge.
Yeah, but it's still vague enough that it's not like
What's so funny is that like when I first listened to this and I heard the lyrics, all I could think of is that he was like a superhero called Electric Eye. Like he was like some Inspector Gadget ass looking guy. He just happened to have an electric eye that like makes him see everything that happens on Earth. Big Brother was not the first thing that came to my mind when I first heard this song a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny.
That sounds more like a Megadeth song.
Yeah. But I mean, I love the way he sings in this song. Like,
so good.
Some of the lyrics are great. I love when he says, I take a pride in probing all your secret moves. I don't know why that lyrics just always stick in my head. Like,
the way he sings it.
Yeah.
Just very, very unique, very kind of creepy.
It really shows his vocal talents in this song.
And also any song, like when he says, I'm made of metal, like, I love it when metal songs have the word metal in it, but when it's
like every fucking Judas Priest song, though.
It's so meta. It's so meta.
But this actually fits with the song, because he is made of metal. He's a fucking,
it's a satellite
camera or whatever.
It's like the songs where they just sing about being in a metal band.
Yeah, well, that's a different. But you know what I mean. Like this actually fits with the.
I like to rock.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I actually hate that shit, but.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a staple of power metal. So. Yeah, so it's great. I mean, like you say, all of the different rhythm playing going on. Solo is cool as well. Song's really fucking intense.
One of their best solos. This song is this is like the perfect metal song.
Yeah. If someone's like, I never heard of Judas Priest, you go, here. This is what you should listen to. This is the one song that you need.
Like it just captures the feel of what they're trying to do. This kind of sci-fi, dystopian thing, and it's
just gives you goosebumps listening to it.
Great fucking way to start an album.
The only thing I have in my notes that's a negative is that, unfortunately, this is the best song of the album, and it's the first one.
You don't typically put your best song first. But...
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the unfortunate.
But I think some people would argue another song on this album is better.
I would also agree with you because that's probably my number 2 song.
Not me though, but.
We might be pretty close on this one, but
this one it was unanimous. Like the moment, first off, the first 10 seconds of that song makes you go, yep, number 1, book it, it's done. Like the first 10 seconds, you're like, all right, that's it. We don't need anything
It
else.
is, as Corey would say, very hype.
It's so fucking hype.
And again, they pack so much into like 3 minutes. It's crazy, like that. This is only. It feels so much more epic than a 3-minute song. But it is.
If you give me that for 8 minutes, I'll never be angry.
Yeah, I think it would get boring if it was.
I love this song so much. It's so
you just put it on repeat. You don't need to hear it for 8 minutes. That's weird.
All right, but so the next song, "Riding on the Wind," great 1-2 punch to this album.
Yeah, this is another really good song.
It's a very good song.
Yeah,
it's great. I said it's great cruising music because it makes you feel like you're going down a highway on a fucking motorcycle. Yeah, you just feel like a badass going down it.
Yeah, I mean. Like a lot of albums have a good first and second song. Like we did Power Slave, and even Ride the Lightning had even Fight Fire with Fire is not the best song, but you got to start off with 2 good songs, I think. And this album does that. So I really like this song actually. This is my number 3.
I overlooked this song for a long time, but it's
so cool.
This is my number 4 song.
This is also my number 4 song. It's just, that just tells you how good this album actually ended up being, because this is a really freaking
the drumming at the start. It sounds like a helicopter taking off. Like,
that's a cool effect.
I don't know if they must be effects, right? Because there's something going on in the background.
It sounds like it might be either like really heavily layered delay and reverb, or possibly 2 drum parts layered on top of each other.
I would think that would probably be the more likely one.
But again, it just
technology at
sets
the time.
it sets the mood of the song, like riding on the wind, right? You're in a fucking helicopter, you're riding on a motorbike. It's just like you get that going at the start, then they hit you with that riff, which is pretty cool as well. I like the kind of, when it goes like bam, 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 and the cymbals are crashing at the same time. It's fucking cool. Fucking cool.
Yeah, excellent song.
Just makes you want to throw on a leather jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Halford
every
sounds
Priest
great.
song.
Do you like these? Do you like Halford on this one, Matt, or is he too?
I don't have any notes about his vocal performance, but no, I don't have any complaints. I really like this song. Like,
Yeah, it's got a really catchy chorus as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Riding on the wind. Yeah. He sounds really like, I like the way he starts some of the sentences, like when he's just like screaming, but he like really elongates it, and it's fucking cool. It's a really cool song. Yeah. So again, yeah, that's another short
So
song.
the
but
consensus that we all love this song.
Yeah.
It's all the stuff.
I don't really have a whole lot to say. It's very similar in style to Electric Eye, but not quite as good. But still excellent.
Yeah, it's a cool song.
It definitely, for me, it has like a more hard rocky kind of like sound to it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Not
a
so
lot of
much
Judas
metal.
Priest ones too. A lot of Judas Priest songs are like that. Okay, so the next song is Bloodstone.
I like this one too.
So this one's my candidate for a hidden gemstone song because I
Hidden
think it's like
Gemstone.
I haven't gemstone. I think it's like one of those songs that people probably overlook a little bit, just because there's a lot of great songs around it. Because like
I've never skipped this one myself. It's really good.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, this is
but-
on my playlist definitely, but it's a lot slower obviously than the first two songs.
Yeah.
It's more poppy, I would say. It's more
I
of a-
do have that. It's not as good as the first two. It's like slightly below it. I have it as number 5.
Yeah, it's number 6 for me.
I have it as number 3.
But it's
Oh,
the
Yeah.
chorus
Right.
hook is fucking killer. It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so good. Like, it's so great to sing along with.
you
And
know how we were complaining about Back in the Village, saying Back in the Village over and over again. He says Bloodstone a million times in this song, but you don't get
yeah,
bored of it.
I want to talk about something they're doing a lot on this album, which I really love. And
Yeah.
that's the hook is actually split between the vocals and guitar. So for this one, they have the Bloodstone, and the guitar does the counter melody. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Blood. Yeah, it's really cool, and they do it for like most of these songs. But I love it because it's not something that you always hear a lot.
That's cool. Like, I mean, they remind me a lot of AC/DC in some of the way that they can just make simple riffs sound iconic and like really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Speaking of ACDC, we'll talk about that one later. There's a song later
oh, there
that
is. Oh yeah.
think
that's
of
it.
ACDC
I think we got-
hardcore.
Oh yeah, I think we all know what that is. But
Yeah.
yeah, the chorus is great. I love the opening guitars as well. They sound
It's really
really
good.
fucking metal. Sounds like a fucking razor blade, like scratching on the fucking guitar.
It's
great.
awesome.
Like
Like I said, I think it's an unfortunate thing because I think it gets overshadowed by the bigger names on this album.
yeah.
Well, I think it's fucking
There's some
solid
good-
ass
there is
track.
some there are some deep cuts in this album, which are really good songs.
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
like, I really like Judas Priest solos, like their guitar style, the way they just add little bits to their solos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this has got a good solo as well. Like, especially at the beginning, I like the bending of the notes and stuff.
Actually, I didn't care for the guitar solos in this one.
Yeah. You know what? This is so. I think this like KK Downing did the solo for this one, I think. And I think I prefer Glenn Tipton's solos. He's a bit more interesting. Let's say he did the Electric Eye one and some of the other ones.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
think-
it sounds more improvisational on this one.
Yeah, Downing's more like a shredder, whereas Tipton's more, methodical in his style.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still good. It's a catchy song, and the solo just doesn't really slow it down. So
Mhm.
that's good. Okay, so next song, Take These Brackets Chains.
Brackets change.
The brackets seemed kind of unnecessary, but I fucking love this song. This is my number 3.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah.
it's my number 5 on this one.
Such a good song.
On the
I love the intro. This is my favorite, one of my favorite Judas Priest intros. It's so moody.
This is so this was obviously written by someone else.
That's why you like it so much.
You know what? I was gonna say this is like the escape of the album because it's like
I mean, I
not-
like Escape, so I've said it every fucking episode. I guess I'll say it this episode too. I like Escape.
Well, you know how you said Escape was like a Judas Priest song on a Metallica album. So what is this?
It makes sense now.
This is
It doesn't sound like the rest of the album to me.
No, it doesn't.
yeah, it's a little different.
It's not that it's bad. It's just it's
not
definitely.
It is kind of weird because it's not a cover. I thought it originally was a cover, but it's apparently an original song that someone else just wrote for him.
Yeah, this guy Bob Halligan Jr. He wrote one other Priest song as well. Apparently,
Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, which is another fucking awesome song. I love that song.
Maybe you should check out Bob's.
Yeah, you should just ask this writer and be like, "Hey, can you just give me all the songs you've done?"
I don't feel like
one of them.
I don't feel like this song sticks out that much. I feel like it has the same hooks that like the last two songs have, very similar.
It's very catchy. I mean, apparently it got a lot of radio play, and it was a big radio hit for them. You can tell.
It's a very catchy song.
It's quite simple, but effective. Like, yeah. So
I absolutely love the solo on this one.
Yeah, it's got a good solo.
The only thing I can really remember that much was the chorus. It was a good chorus. It was good.
Yeah, it gets stuck in my head so much.
This was my last song on the album.
Oh my God, Venom.
Corey,
I'm surprised. I said number 5, so it's middle of the road. It's not the top, but
this is my least favorite.
I'm surprised.
How is that possible? Because there are some songs on here that are not good.
I'm surprised because we're about to go into absolute worst song pretty soon.
It's just it doesn't sound like a Judas Priest.
It doesn't sound like a Judas Priest song, but
So?
at the same time, it's just not terrible.
Yeah.
Like
Well, if you think it sounds like Escape, which sounds like a Judas Priest song, then it fucking sounds like a Judas Priest song.
I don't think it sounds like Escape. I think I would listen to Escape over that. But anyway. All right. So we've got to have the obligatory Priest song about BDSM. So we're going for Pain and Pleasure, which is the next song.
this is the weakest song on the album.
Yeah, this song is kind of garbage.
I can't remember it. I can't remember.
Yeah, I tried. I listened to this one probably more than any of the other ones just so I could get it in my head, and it did not work.
The only thing I remember is the pause when he says, "You give me pain."
This is a song that they sing near the end of the concert when everyone's already drunk and they're
There's
like,
no way. I don't.
song right
I
there."
bet you they've never played this
They
song.
don't play this song. So, do you want to hear what Halford has to say about this song?
Yeah, I do.
Sorry.
Thank God he's got something to say because I'm sure it's regrettable.
So he blames it on alcohol, which I'm sure we've all done at some point in our lives. He says, I think we were drunk the night we wrote this. Really fucked up. I was out of my fucking tree. When you get drunk, some people get violent, some people get giggles, and some people get horny. And I just generally got very horny. So
I've heard stories.
that's where they were. That's where they were at when they wrote this one.
That's amazing.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a song.
It does sound like a song that was written while drunk.
Yeah.
Although I've never written a song while drunk. That would be interesting.
Can't wait to see it. That'll be interesting. We're about to see where Matt's mind goes when he gets drunk.
Well, Rob Halford.
Are we going to get another Pain and Pleasure too?
Yep.
He's about to get like
I was gonna
super
say-
horny.
Yeah, Rob Halford would be probably a big fan of Master Sword. Probably likes a good.
He
Master
might think
Sword.
Master Sword means something else. Master's
Yeah.
word.
But anyway, so that ends side 1. So then we.
Oh man, if it wasn't for that last song, God, this would be like the
One
perfect
of the
side
best
for me.
sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's
would.
such a great. Yeah, it's so good. It is a really strong side 1. But side 2 kicks off with "Screaming for Vengeance" title track.
If you just switch that last one with this one, best side ever. Because
No, but-
Screaming for Vengeance is my number 2. I love this song.
I don't like this song.
I love this song.
Ooh, so this
I
is
think this song is weak.
I'm
Nope.
surprised because I think this
I-
is just such a great song.
Corey. I agree. This is my number 2 as well.
It's a great high speed pace. Like it's just like
So good.
bam, bam, bam. It's like one of those things where it's a boxer punching you, and when you think for a second you can breathe, he comes right at you again with the next one.
It's got some
And-
good guitar licks, but the vocals are not great.
That's
Especially, like, the melody.
is also badass. That's a great
He's
solo.
doing a very kind of different vocal style than he usually does in this song. because I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he's trying to capture the mood of the song, which is fucking screaming for vengeance. You know, he's pissed off.
It
He's
just
like,
it doesn't flow. It's just like screaming, scream for vengeance. Like it's weird. It's
Yeah.
not very hooky at all compared to the rest of them.
Oh, here
What
he
do you-
goes with his hooks again.
yeah. But
Or
what
if you're
about,
doing an album full of hooks and then you throw one in that doesn't have good hooks,
I mean,
it's
this is
going to
maybe
stick
this is the
out.
side that doesn't have hooks.
this song is like,
Oh,
it
for
was-
fuck's sake! No, the next song definitely has a hook or two.
Well, I mean, yeah. No, but this song is like fucking speed metal, right? This is like
This is definitely
killer
like what they
riffing.
were trying to
this
do.
is the fastest song of the album by a million miles. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy how fast they're going.
I
like the-
love
Yeah, but Electric
but
Eye's
it's
fast
definitely
too, and
more
it
up-
has hooks. Good
It's
hooks.
definitely up my alley when it comes to like the.
What do you
the
think of
type
like
music.
his scream at the intro as well?
It's great. It's awesome.
that scream.
Oh, it's good.
It sounds
Um,
like, you know, it sounds like he's turning Super Saiyan. Like,
right. I don't
Because, like as a Slayer fan, I'm used to hearing the screams in
Yeah.
the beginning, and it's just such a good way to set the tempo for that song.
I don't think I minded the scream at the beginning, but I don't. This is one of those songs where his vocal tone really kind of irritated me.
Oh
Mm.
god, it's so good. I think
don't
it's
know.
one.
It's also
think it's
why
one
I
of
don't
his
really care
best.
for Painkiller that much. I'll be honest.
he sounds like a fucking maniac. Like he's just shouting basically.
Yeah,
saying-
which I'm not really that into.
But again, he's capturing the mood. It's screaming for vengeance. He's pissed off. He's like, come on, you know, screaming for vengeance.
I feel like the verses needed some work too. The vocals, like like he couldn't find a good melody. He just kind of. It's a Dave Mustaine thing where he mumbles through a little bit.
Yeah. See, but this is where we're seeing the difference of style and what we like. I think because me and Corey dig this song a lot
Gosh, love this song.
because it's just fucking brutal. You know,
Oh.
this is a mosh pit song, definitely, right?
Yeah, this is definitely a
Which
mosh
they
pit
don't do.
song.
They don't do a lot of.
They don't do a lot of those, but this
Yeah.
is definitely one of them. It's just like
Yeah.
you could just see everyone going in a circle, like just
Yeah,
going, because it doesn't stop. The song never stops. It doesn't slow down.
And like you said, I love the solos in this one as well. Because
Oh,
they're
the solo is
so-
just so brutal.
I do like
mean,
this. I said, yeah, great soloing, but
And
that
also,
was the
it's
highlight
like-
for me.
that is the capturing the mood of the song. Again, it's about being fucking pissed off. The solos sound angry. It's just
Mhm.
like furious, like insane playing. And then
Oh, God,
the
it's so
classic
good.
Priest harmonies. This is one of their best harmonies, I think.
Mhm.
When they do the slowed down bit where they do the whatever.
Right,
you
right.
know.
It's so funny because like anytime they do slow down, it's for like 2 seconds, and then it goes back to.
Yeah. But they always. That's what I like about Priest is they always have that melodic part of their songs, which is great.
Yeah.
And this is one of the best ones, I think.
This is
By mile.
for me. It's just average. This is my number 7. There's worse songs on the album,
we're
but
gonna lose a lot of viewers after this one.
I don't know about that.
Nah.
That's some hot take bullshit right
We'll
there.
see. I'm
gonna fight. It's like,
yeah.
this is number 2 for me, and he's saying this is average. The fuck?
No, it's number 2 for me as
Sorry.
well. But I can see why Matt wouldn't like it because it's not a Matt.
Because it's good. I get it. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's good. Exactly.
Hey, we had the same number
it's not
1.
Escape. We get it, man.
Yeah. We sometimes gel with the same song, but I think whenever a song goes more aggressive and angry, you seem to zone out.
That's not true. I like aggressive songs, but like as long as the vocals remain interesting, and on this one they were just not great.
Yeah. Well, well, wait till we get into some black metal, then you'll hear.
Sounds-
Just you
Jesus
wait,
Christ.
man, because you got another thing coming.
Good segue, Corey.
Speaking of,
So the next song is "You've Got Another Thing Coming." What the fuck is this song doing so low on the album?
So-
Like,
what happened was this was the last song they wrote for the album. And
Yeah.
they were not considering it for a single at all. They just kind of wrote it to have another song on the album because they had the room. And then
Right.
their record label was like, "You need to put that out as a single."
I mean, this is why sometimes a record label is not, the evil enemy because they can see things.
They're like, damn, people are gonna love this fucking song.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, maybe it's just because of nostalgia or whatever, but this is fucking iconic. This song.
Yeah,
Like,
this is my number 2.
this is my number 4, but
It's my number 7.
Are you
Whoa.
what?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
you just-
it's again, it just shows how good this album actually was.
But
I
did-
don't know,
I
man.
don't think
That's
it was a
really
bad-
low.
I don't think it's a bad song at all. It's a great song. It's super catchy, and
This
obviously
is like the king
it's
of
one of-
hooks right here.
it's one of. We know this, Matt. We know you're a hook guy. You are a fisherman in our. But that being said, I just couldn't gel with it as much as some of the other songs.
Is it just fatigue? Like you've heard it too much, or you just never liked this song?
No,
really?
it's I've always liked the song.
I've heard this song a lot, but it never gets old.
I remember a long time ago, VHS or VH1 used to do 100 best metal songs,
Right.
and I never understood why this was the only Judas Priest song that was in that top 100.
Yeah.
This is not that metal of a song.
It's not metal. It's not that metal.
Electric Eye is a more metal song.
Yeah,
That
true, but
that
Yeah,
should
but
be the one to represent Judas Priest.
this is more. This could be a glam metal band song. Really, it's got that kind of feel
Definitely.
about it. But
I wouldn't go that far.
they do it way better. They do it better than them. They
Yeah.
would do. Very 80s, though. You can feel the 80s in this.
But
song.
again, this is no like
This whole
slight
album's very
song.
80s. I mean, come
It's
on.
not. It's no slight to the song. The song's really fucking good. It just, to me, it's more of a hard rock song than it is a metal song.
I don't know.
I mean, the whole thing is like a chugging riff. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's metal, definitely.
To me, it sounds like something that you would hear at like a Western bar.
But
Sounds
I'm always
like a-
impressed when a song can do something so simple but still be memorable. So like the intro riff, it's just the same note played over and over again, isn't it? Just
It's
Yeah.
a good riff though.
tick, 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 tick. And it sounds awesome. It
And
sounds
yeah,
so
it's
nice.
iconic. Like you know immediately it's this
Yeah.
song, even though it's just like so many other songs have used that chugging riff before. It's,
Yeah, but no, they just do it in a way that it just sticks in your head, and they have those three like power chords, and so this is like the attitude of this song is what I like. Is like so me and a friend, we have a playlist which we call it sassy metal, right? And it's metal that makes you want to kind of just like finger wag. It's got a bit of
Oh my god.
this song definitely has that. When he says you've got
Got
another
another
thing
thing
coming.
coming.
Come on, it gets that attitude down, which I like. Like if it's
Metal.
if I'm in a festival, I got a few beers.
Oh,
and
if
just
you
waving those
that
fingers.
to anyone
Yeah.
at a festival,
I want to do a bit of finger wagging. To
you
this
got
song.
another thing coming.
You got another thing coming. So like it's like breakup music if you're pissed off with someone.
All right, so this song just dropped a few places for me.
It's not number 2 anymore.
Yeah, I've ruined this song for a lot of
Goes
people.
back
I
to
think.
the. Now, whenever I see this song, I'm gonna think of Ben and going, "You got another thing coming."
Like the baby metal girl is just like
Yeah. It's sassy. It's a sassy song. You listen to it again with that context and you'll hear the same fucking thing. But again, fucking great song. Solo's awesome as well. I've said it before. I don't care how cliche it is. If you start with a really high squealing guitar solo, I fucking love it. So the intro to this solo is great. That's all I was gonna say.
I mean, yeah, I could gush about this song all night, but really I don't have anything to criticize or say other than this is a fantastic song.
Yeah.
Like
and
it
you can tell.
from there's no part of this song that I don't like. I said filled to the brim with excellent hooks, verse, pre-chorus, bridge, chorus, they all land hard.
Yeah. Also, they've got that moment where you can tell it would work for a live atmosphere. So when it like slows
definitely.
down and it would be like when they do that thing where they call and repeat. So they'll say, let me hear you say it. You've got another thing coming. They could definitely do that with this song, which is always you need that for a live show, definitely.
Give him a break.
So it's crazy that they didn't even consider this like the main song of the album, which is
Well, again, it was the last one they wrote, so they probably thought they already had their singles. They just wanted another song on the album.
yeah,
Which makes me think, what was going to be the other singles that they
Electric
might-
Eye. I would have thought.
Electric Eye was a single.
I don't think it
Bloodstone,
was it?
Yeah, Electric Eye was a single, and Take These Chains,
Yeah,
So Bloodstone was probably the other one.
maybe.
I guess they would have.
'Cause I would imagine that they
I
had
mean-
another one lined up, and then they said, "Oh, you should probably do this one."
Right. Any of the first 4 songs would be good singles, in my opinion.
I can just imagine like the record label when they heard this song and they were like, "You guys didn't think this was like a radio hit?
This
Are
is
you
worth
fucking
it?"
kidding me?" Sometimes you need that outside perspective. All right, let's move on. So Fever.
Uh,
So
Yeah.
This is the closest thing to an epic on this album, I guess.
Really?
Even though it's only it's 5 minutes long, but it hits the kind of notes of a
I
kind of
I didn't
metal.
care for it. It was number 8
Can we just
for me.
move on to the next song? It's my number 8. It's not my worst song. Pain and Pleasure was, but this is.
I don't mind
me
this song,
and you,
actually.
Corey, have the same last two.
Yeah,
I actually don't mind this
God.
song.
The only reason why this was above Pain and Pleasure is because I could actually remember the chorus.
I don't even remember the chorus.
Fever.
Oh yeah. I did say good chorus hook, but that was literally the only note I had for this.
Yeah,
like
that's the only thing I could remember about this song.
it just
I
felt
don't
very
remember.
average.
What was it like? The guitar plucking like kind of reminded me of, strangely enough, Bret Hart's theme music in WWE. It's like dun, 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 dun. Like it just has like that heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird.
Well,
That's what it reminded me of when
I quite like the guitar solo in this one. It's got a weird sound. It doesn't sound like it's kind of unique compared to the other.
I don't even remember
songs.
it. I listened to this song quite a bit because I hadn't heard it that
solo
much.
for us.
No. But go and listen to it. It's pretty cool.
I don't think I'd listen to this song again.
Again, fits the mood of the song in my opinion. But yeah, it's all right. Whatever. Fever.
Fever.
So we're on the last song, Devil's Child.
This was my number.
AC/DC's Child, because this is such a fucking AC/DC song.
Yeah. This was my number 6. This was
my number 6 as well. Hey, look at that.
Which it seems low, but like I actually really like this. It's just the top 5 or the top 5.
This is a great
I like
album.
it a lot too.
Let's be honest.
Top
This
to
is a
bottom.
really
Well,
fucking
not
good
bottom, but top to.
I'd say like I could get rid of the bottom 2 songs
the
easily.
bottom 2 songs you
Yeah.
get rid of, and the rest of it, money.
But yeah, I wrote the same thing in my notes, Corey. This is a fucking AC/DC song. It sounds
Oh
like
my
Highway
God.
to Hell or something.
Yes, exactly. I have had that. It says reminds me a lot of Highway to Hell.
Yeah.
Not
it
sure
is.
what
I
it
mean,
was. Just
It's
gave
a
me that
very
vibe.
they play this live a lot, and you can tell why, because it's a very much like a beer in hand.
Yeah.
You're drunk
Yeah.
and you just want to sing. And
I put
sing along to it.
classic hook, fun party song, enjoyable listen. Definitely
Yeah.
something you sing along with.
It's honestly a
bit-
great song.
It's a bit cheesy at points, though. I will say, like, when they do like the repeating, like he says something and then like. So I always heard for the longest time where when he says "eat my diamonds," I always heard "eat my donuts" for some reason. He goes, "Eat my donuts," and then he gets "eat my donuts." Fucking. Don't know why I heard that, but that's what I heard.
Maybe you're hungry.
Yeah, but it's so fucking. It's so cheesy though. Like, stop pretending. Stop pretending.
It's definitely cheesy, but like it gets stuck in your head. It's catchy.
It's cheesy, but it's got good vibes.
I honestly didn't even realize this song was on this album. Like I had definitely heard it before, and like sometimes it would just get stuck in my head. I'm like, where the fuck did I heard that song? I didn't realize it was Judas Priest. I just like it. The hook got stuck in my head, even though I had heard it maybe once or twice before. But it was on
They're
this
one of
album,
those-
so
They remind me a bit of Kiss in that way, that you hear a Kiss song and you're like, "Oh, what this Kiss did this song?" It's like
mhm.
they've got a lot of like they're really good at hooks, aren't they, Priest? Like
Excellent, yeah.
they know how to.
Would
make
you
hooks.
guys say that if it wasn't called The Devil's Child, it would be a single hit? Because I think it has the all the check marks to make it a radio
Yeah,
single.
I feel like they could have released half this album as singles, and they would have
I
done
mean,
okay.
like other bands were singing about
Because
that.
like at the time, I would imagine that the whole calling someone a devil's child would be a little bit controversial.
Do you think this song made
But if
people kill themselves?
I mean, I hope not. But like, I feel like just the title alone would kind of like scare radio stations from like.
Yeah, but
putting
what
it on.
about like?
Possible, but I don't know if they were considering it at all.
I mean, like what Motley Crue had "Shout at the Devil," right? At this point, AC/DC did "Highway to Hell," and that was
True.
a fucking hit.
Yeah, Highway to Hell came out, I think, a few years before this.
I do like the way he elongates the "believe," like this. I believe.
you're the devil. That's
What the fuck was that?
That's what made me think it was an AC/DC song because
Yeah.
what's
he
his
sounds
name?
like Brian
He does that.
Johnson. He
Yeah, he
sounds-
does that a lot.
Yeah.
He just has that little like unnecessary stretch to a word. It's like you didn't
Yeah.
need to do that, but hey, it works.
it's a cool song. Like we say, very poppy. Good way to end the album, I guess.
I don't know if it's a good way to end the album. I would have liked something a bit more epic, but
I mean, Screaming for Vengeance would have been a great way to end it. Like it's
this
got
is
that
not
anger.
this. Like I said though, they weren't trying to make epics on this song on this album.
I know.
They're all 5 minutes long.
Because I think was Devil's Child even 5 minutes long? I think it was too, wasn't it?
Nah, that was honestly
about
these
almost
songs are
5
really
minutes.
fucking short. Yeah.
Yeah, they're shorter than 5 minutes. Most of them. They're like
Yeah.
3 to 4 minutes.
Well, that's it. That's why it was a short album. So, I mean, I can see why it was Priest's most successful album, commercially.
Definitely.
It's got like 4 or 5 songs that could easily be enjoyed by normal people in quotation marks.
At least now.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah.
then, probably not as much.
But they still have a bit of a bite, you know. They still have that. We're still a metal band, you know.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
commercial.
definitely.
They're not quite like at Kiss levels of.
No, they still
Yeah.
that would come later in the next album, the next Turbo, whenever that came out.
I still like a lot of Judas Priest songs from the period after this. So
Yeah, I mean Judas Priest, like I've been listening to them a lot this week, and was reminded how much I fucking love Judas Priest actually.
yeah.
I like the eras.
I mean I got started on their greatest hits album and I can just like rock that entire thing.
Yeah, I was
So
about
many
to
good
say,
songs.
like, this is the first time I've actually listened to one of their albums as a whole, instead of that's not a greatest hit album.
Yeah.
Because I always like hear like half of most of their albums, but this is the first time I've gone top to bottom.
I think this is
Really
definitely the Judas Priest album you would show to someone,
Mhm.
like if they wanted to know what Judas Priest were all about.
Well, then whoever on the show made that choice to make this their album, good job.
I think it was me. I think Benham said he wanted to do a Judas Priest album. And then
Oh, we have
suggested
to.
Painkiller. And then I was like, no, we should do this one.
Painkiller is a different. I can see why you don't like Painkiller, but I really fucking love Painkiller. I like a lot of their 70s one as well. Like Stained Glass was really good. Sinner, or no,
Yeah, they have a lot of good
whatever that
stuff.
one was called. Yeah. But anyway, so melee time. Ride the Lightning.
Wait, are we
Or,
okay?
or
Are we
Screaming
going into this?
Vengeance.
Are we doing it
All right,
live?
straight into
Doing
it.
this live? Oh shit!
Should
I
I
thought
go
we were
first?
gonna like talk about the album.
Oh yeah, go on.
together?
What do you want to say?
I
About
mean, we can talk about the album while we're doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to anyways.
I'll go first. I never go first, so I'll go first this time. Ride the Lightning. It's a better
That was it?
album.
That's it.
I'm surprised. I'm not that surprised, but like
I'm not super surprised, but at the same time, you didn't seem like you struggled with it that much.
No,
I feel like, see, the thing is, like, with the Dream Theater one, I was more surprised that you went with Dream Theater.
well, like I explained,
This one, I'm really surprised
listen,
that you decided to
when
go
I
with this
when
album.
I get into something new, I think it's the
Shiny
best
new
thing
toy.
ever, and I don't care about anything else. And Dream Theater, I'd never listened to Dream Theater before that week, really. So I was super fucking into Dream Theater. But now I'm like, yeah, I would obviously pick Ride the Lightning. But this week, I know this album. Like I've listened to this album a lot, and I'm more of I'm a thrash guy. I'm a thrash guy, and this album doesn't have as enough of that for me. Has a few songs that I would really just never listen to, whereas Ride the Lightning only has one song that I would never listen to.
I wonder what song that is.
Yeah. So that's my vote. All
Maybe
right,
it's a song that you can never escape.
I can't escape it. Especially if it
still a
keeps
great
raining.
song.
Yeah. Would it be better with Halford on the vocals?
Probably.
It wouldn't sound as bored as Hetfield did. Out on my own.
Actually, you know what? Now that you think about it, Halford probably would kill this song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He'd probably do really well with that one.
We need to organize.
That would be wonderful.
It's like
Lars,
it's already-
make it happen. Get Halford. Just say, hey, can you just redo this one song on our?
if you had
album?"
like if a fucking genie came to you and was like, you can have Rob Halford sing one Metallica song. Which one would
That
you
would
choose?
that would be your wish of all things to wish for in the world. That's what you would choose.
put it have him redo Escape and then put it permanently in that album. Never
All right.
heard of.
Corey, what's your vote?
This is a tough one, but not really. I'm going with Ride the Lightning. I'm more of a thrash metal guy myself. As awesome, I actually, I would say Electric Eye might be number 1 or number 2 if you were to combine these albums together. I don't know which one it would be.
It's a great.
Because I really love Trapped Under Ice.
Yeah, well, we all know.
Why don't you tell us what it's about again?
Yeah, I think it would be number 1 or number 2 if you were to put both of these albums together. But after that, as much as I love, yes, more the Hellion.
Hellion would be number 1.
So you put them, fucking yeah, it's got to be number 1. Otherwise, you can't understand number 2. But yeah, it's just top to bottom. Ride the Lightning is a great album. Besides Escape, top to bottom, Screaming for Vengeance is actually a really good album, but it's not mind blowing.
Yeah.
I think Ride the Lightning really transcends that. It's iconic for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think there are better Priest albums than this. This one is really fucking good though. But yeah, well, Matt, your opinion is mute.
Doesn't matter, I guess. All right.
What were you gonna go anyways?
That's it. No, that's it.
No, I want to know what is he gonna go.
I have some things to say.
Oh, he's got something to say, everyone.
All right.
Shut up.
This is our first clean sweep.
Hey.
Wow.
But this was the closest one for me, I think, so far. This was like pretty damn close.
Man.
What?
I thought you were a Dream Theater fan, but never.
Again, with that one, if I had chosen a different Dream Theater album,
yeah, different results maybe.
I loved Images and Words like when I first listened to it, but like I eventually not as much.
Grew out of it.
Yeah. But it was still like we needed to start with that one. But anyways, back to these two. Like Screaming for Vengeance is my favorite Judas Priest album. It's so good. Like so many of the songs have great hooks, which is totally my thing. It has 2 songs which I don't really like, and one more song which is Screaming for Vengeance. Just to recap.
Mind blown.
Just to recap.
Mind blown. It's just still hard to believe.
Just to remind the listeners that Matt.
Remember, this guy likes Escape.
Yeah. But the rest of them are so fucking good. But Ride the Lightning is just a better album. Like, again, like I even like Escape, so like it's literally a perfect album for me. So it's a really hard one to beat, which is why we're retiring it now, because it's won 4 times. That's our new rule we made up for this album.
Well,
not for this album, for this podcast.
We saw a future where Ride the Lightning was going to be winning
just
for the
everything.
Next, 100 weeks. So we decided a new rule: 4 weeks, and if you win 4 weeks in a row, you're retired as a Hall of Fame album. You're in the Heavy Metal Melee Podcast Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And HOA.
Once we get a few albums in that Hall of Fame, it'll be cool to kind of do a head-to-head between all of them at some point.
Yeah.
But
I have a feeling that's going to be very far and few in between.
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I will say though, the way that we've done this podcast, Ride the Lightning beat a lot of really fucking good albums to get in the Hall of Fame.
That's why I think it's going to be something that's like really hard to repeat. So don't expect a lot of albums going into that Hall of Fame like immediately.
I do think it's going to be rare that all 3 of us are going to like an album that much.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, can you imagine if we didn't do Power Slave in these first 4 episodes? That probably would have won 4 in a row, potentially. You know, it's like it's beaten a lot of good albums.
Maybe.
Peace Sells would have definitely beaten 4 in a row.
If you say so.
Saying.
It would have been 2-1 every time.
No clean sweep for a Peace Sells.
But yeah,
which is pretty cool to say that we have our first unanimous winner, and it's the one that decides to put them into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So
good way to retire.
Good way to retire. Good job, done. Ride the Lightning.
Ride the Lightning out to the farm.
Okay, so that's it for Ride the Lightning. 4 wins in a row, retired. Next week, it's going to be a very special episode. We have our friend Mary joining us to talk about one of her favorite bands, Nightwish, and we're doing the album once.
Why not twice?
Well, we'll learn that next week, I guess. But Corey, how can people get in touch with us?
If you want to follow us on Twitter at heavymetalmelee, and if you want to give us an email at heavymetalmelee@gmail.com.
Nice.
All
All right.
That's all, folks. We will see you later. Bye.
Peace.
Sells.
No one's buying.
Who's buying?
Who's buying?